If you're new to the channel, then welcome, and if you're returning to the channel, then welcome back. I just want to say a quick thank you to you for tuning in. So I actually attended and graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in political science. And I paid for all of this out of my own pocket. I didn't qualify for financial aid and I didn't end up getting any scholarships. And on top of that, I did take a little bit longer than most people take. Usually you get a bachelor's degree in 4 years, but I ended up taking 5 years. And the big reason for that was just to help alleviate some of the financial burden that comes with attending college. Now, while college was a very expensive endeavor for me, I would have to say that overall, I actually really enjoyed learning and studying about the topics that I was interested in. And on top of that, I had a few really good professors who helped me and encouraged me and pushed me to gain better levels of understanding in the academic areas that I was studying. So overall, it was really good and I enjoyed it. But I would be lying to you if I said that for me, college was worth the price tag in the end. So that kind of begs the question. Should you go to college? Which brings us to today's video. Now I know what you're thinking. I'm sitting here talking about, how much I enjoyed college, and yes, it was a little bit expensive, but I actually liked going. And now I'm making a video about why you shouldn't go. Don't worry, this isn't like some weird reverse psychology video where I'm telling you in the title that it's expensive and I tell you that you shouldn't go and then end up trying to convince you at the end that you really should go. I actually do have some legitimate reasons why I think some people should not go to college. The truth is, college is not for everyone. In fact, I think that college is only best suited for people who already know that they want to go for a certain degree or they already have a certain plan in life that actually requires them going to college. And when you're 18 or 17 or 19 years old and thinking about going into college, the truth is you probably don't have any idea what you want to do with your life. And that's okay. I know I didn't have it figured out back then, so I don't expect you to, especially at that early age. However, I would say what you don't want to do is you don't want to be the kind of person who ends up enrolling in college and takes a semester or maybe even a full year of courses, then you drop out and you never come back, and all that time and money that you invested ends up being wasted. So the very first reason that you should not go to college is this. If you don't already have a predefined plan of what you want to do with the rest of your life, or you don't have a college degree in mind, then you probably should figure out one of those two things before deciding whether or not it makes sense for you to go to college. Now, you'll hear some people say that, just enroll in college, you'll figure it out along the way, just get some general education courses out of the way, and then from there you can pivot on to something else. And I get it. This might be a good idea, but it also might end up being a bad idea, because if you go down a path where you never return to college, then all of that money that you spent and all of that time that you spent ends up getting wasted. And trust me when I say this, wasted, because college is expensive. It's insanely expensive. I spent about $35,000. Actually, I know for a fact that I spent $35,083 on just tuition and class fees alone. And the reason I know this is because I went through and gathered all the screenshots of the tuition payments and class fees that I paid for all of my college years. Now, my first 2 years, I actually went to a community college, and that was obviously much cheaper than going to a university. So for a total of 2 years worth of classes at a community college, I spent $5,083. And as you'll soon find out, community college is significantly cheaper than university, because when I switched to university, for my very first semester, I only took half of a course load, and that ended up costing $2,978. And from there, it only gets more expensive. I spent $5,976 in the next semester, $6,178 on the next one after that, $5,856, $5,976, and for my last semester, where I just took 2 courses to finish out my degree, I spent $3,036, which brings my total college tuition and class fees to $35,083. On top of being super expensive, college is also a very big time commitment. Normally it takes 4 years to get an undergraduate degree, and maybe if you're lucky and you're very studious in high school, you took some AP exams or you took some college credit hours, then maybe it's going to take you only 3.5 years. Or maybe you're just overloading yourself with classes when you're in college and it only takes 3.5 years to graduate. Just for me alone, because I found that spending $35,000 was a lot of money, it took me 5 years just so that way I could avoid taking out any student loans. All in all, my college experience ended up costing me $35,000 and 5 years of studying and only being able to work part-time. Now, fun fact time, I actually took the time to calculate this out because I was interested. If I had instead invested $7,000 a year for 5 years at a 6% return, I would have had around $39,000 invested instead of being down $35,000 in college tuition. And honestly, $35,000 in 5 years isn't even really that bad. I mean, if you compare that to someone who's going to law school, medical school, or going to pharmacy school, they're potentially spending either thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of their own money, or racking up hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt for them to be able to pay for their college, on top of all the extra years of schooling that they're having to do. So in my case, I guess I got off pretty lucky. My other big reason that someone should avoid paying for college would be that college degrees just don't carry the same value or worth that they had, say, 10 to 20 years ago. And unless something big changes here in the next maybe 10 to 15 years, this is just going to continue to diminish. Now, before all of the engineers and scientists and teachers jump down my throat, look, I know that there are still some degrees out there that are actually, worth getting and can be traded in for a lump sum of cash. And if you're someone who is going to be a doctor, a scientist, a lawyer, an engineer, a teacher, then by all means, I think you should be going to college. However, the internet and online learning have drastically impacted the value of a college degree. Basically, every other skill or job that you could want to learn is available for free in some format on the internet. And because of that, you can self-teach and get a job. I mean, people do this all the time. I'm a perfect example of this, in fact. I went to college for political science, and I actually work in the technology industry. Frankly, there's not much overlap between those two topics. And I didn't learn things about computers and networks and programming by spending time in the classroom, but instead I learned it all online by getting hands-on experience and making my own projects and being able to put something on a resume that actually has worth. Now, on top of all this free information that exists on the internet that you can get jobs and make a career out of, colleges are also having to compete with cheaper and faster alternatives. There are schools and trainings and online programs and certifications and even online college degrees from accredited universities that are significantly cheaper than going to a traditional college or university. So if you want to learn something, whether it's for professional knowledge or just general knowledge, everything that you could possibly want to learn is definitely on the internet in some way, shape, or form. And this means that you don't even need to go to college to acquire that knowledge. Now, with all that being said, this doesn't mean that you can just go on the internet and learn whatever skills you need to learn in like 2 days by reading some online articles. It's going to take a lot of self-discipline and persistence, just like it would if you were going to college. The alternative is that by doing it on your own, you end up saving yourself a lot of money. And in the long run, if your only goal is just to start making money right away and making as much as you possibly can, then there are still plenty of job opportunities and career opportunities out there that will allow you to do this all on your own without ever having to spend a dime on college. So here are some options about what you could do if you decided to postpone or just end up completely foregoing college. The number one thing is obviously getting some kind of job, all right? You need to start generating income so that way you can build a stable future that will allow you options in the long term. Some great jobs that don't require a college degree and you can build a stable future on. Number one, going into the military. Now, I know a lot of people might have a little bit of aversion to that or they're not interested in that, but the fact is there are a lot of great job opportunities there. There's a lot of career growth inside of the military, and overall from an employment standpoint, generally speaking, it's pretty stable. On top of that, your career can either be short-term or it can be long-term. And no matter what you decide to do, whether it's short or long, once your enlistment ends, you're going to have a ton of great benefits at your hands to build a stable future for yourself. A second job you might consider is real estate. This is another great opportunity that has a pretty much low upfront cost. You have to do a little bit of studying, so there's a little bit of time investment involved there. But once you get started, you get to work in a job that has a very high earning potential depending on where you're selling homes. And on top of that, you can, for the most part, make your own hours, you're your own boss. It's very an independent job, and it's really just all up to you. Number three is getting into some kind of trade skill. This could be plumbing, this could be electrician, this could be HVAC work, and hell, even now I would say that IT is almost a trade skill. It's a job where you don't necessarily have to have a degree to get into, and there are a lot of training and certification opportunities that will help you get into the field or even carry you on to bigger and better jobs and promotions in the field. So after you get a job and you've started generating some income, the next thing you want to start thinking about is your future. Maybe going to college does make sense for you at some point, right? Maybe you get into a job where they say, hey, if you go to college, we'll pay for it or we'll help you pay for it, and that's going to lead to you getting a promotion down the line. But the trick is that you got into the job that's going to help you pay for college so you don't have to spend that much money on yourself. And maybe you get into a career field where you never need to go to college, or you just never expressed an interest in going to college because you just like working and making money. And that's okay too. But the point is that if you're not thinking about these things or working towards something, then you're still going to continue to not know which way that you want to go. And the biggest thing that you can do when you start earning money at that time in terms of thinking about your future is investing that money that will allow you to have options in the long term. And the last thing that I would recommend doing is learning some kind of skill online. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be anything that you're interested in, or maybe you want to switch to another career or anything like that, but you would be foolish not to take advantage of all of the different learning opportunities that are presented to you online for free. This can be things like programming, web development, graphic design, marketing, online businesses, or even content creation like people who make YouTube videos. The list really just goes on and on and on. There's so many opportunities online that it's really mind-blowing, and that's why I keep bringing it up. And again, there are plenty of people going out there and doing this, and you don't have to be someone who's making hundreds of millions of dollars by doing things online. There are plenty of people who have normal jobs that they work a 9 to 5, and they use their online businesses or something that they create online as supplemental income. So if you have the drive and the passion and you want to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you on the internet, I definitely encourage you to pursue them. Now, obviously my channel focuses a lot on financial topics, and that is where my perspective on answering the question of whether or not it would be worth it for you to go to college comes in. So my bias is this: if you don't have a clear direction or a clear degree that you're aiming for, then in respect to finances and time, it's probably going to be a waste of both of those things if you don't go into college with a clear sense of direction. Combine this with the fact that all of the free information that exists online has really put a big dent into the value of a college degree. In fact, the only thing that colleges have left going for them is accreditation, and even that is starting to wear thin. So if you're the kind of person who just wants to go out and start making money and you don't even have an interest in college, or you're on the fence about it but you're kind of leaning towards no, then I would say that you'll probably be better served by going out and finding the best job that you can and working for 4 years while some of your peers are out, either spending thousands of dollars out of their own pocket or racking up thousands of dollars in student loan debt to pay for college. College is not necessarily the answer for making a lot of money and building a stable future for yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can definitely help, but I would say that it's not always worth the price of admission. What it really comes down to is making the right decision for yourself. If you're the kind of person who doesn't want to go, then I don't think you have to go, and I know that you can be successful without having to go. As highlighted by this video, college is a big cash and time investment. So in order for you to maximize the results from that investment, I just think that you should really have a clear idea of what you're going for. And if you don't, then I would say avoid going, or at least postpone it until you figure those things out. And if you're worried about making money or being successful, a lot of that stuff is not just related to college. There are plenty of opportunities out there for you to do otherwise. As always, I hope that the information in this video was helpful. Make sure to like the video because it took me a long time and it was way harder than it should have been to get all the screenshots of the money that I spent on tuition. And on top of that, I'm kind of sad that I spent $35,000 on college. When I was thinking about making this video and kind of gathering the information, I thought it was going to be more like $20,000. So I was kind of bummed out when I saw $35,000. Anyway, subscribe to stay up to date, and I will see you all next time.